And the Cleveland Browns have made it into the NFL playoffs for the first time in 18 long years.
Going deep, and he's got Braylon Edwards. Oh, he dropped the ball. An NFL high 12th dropped pass.
You suck, you jackass.
Colin Sexton has the Cavs last 17 points, looking for 20. Oh, my!
You're tuning into the We Like Sports podcast with Austin, Keith, Payton, and Riggs. Make sure to stay tuned for your latest sports news on the We Like Sports podcast.
Busted my nose. I don't want to play no more.
Why don't you shut the hell up?
We're live, pal.
We're live.
Yeah.
Welcome to the We Like Sports podcast. My name is Riggs. This is Payton Vince. We're also going to be joined by our buddy Ryan, a.k.a. MC No Walk is what he's known for. And we're going to give you a great show today. We're going to be talking sports today. We're live from my dining room, actually. We like to give people a change of scenery. Keep people on their toes, keep people guessing. But we want to thank you for joining us here. It's from 7:30 to 9:30 here on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. Thank you very much. Shout out to KM Voice. Also, shout out Hooligans Jim. Shout out Coach and everybody along with the KM Voice family. So, let's begin.
Well, how's your day today, Riggs?
See, honestly, I'm happy, because today makes me feel like baseball season really is going to begin here in Northeast Ohio, honestly, because earlier today I was wearing one of my many Cleveland Indians hats and wearing the shirts, and I'm seeing more people out in my neighborhood and seeing just more stuff being represented for baseball. And I feel like people are getting ready for baseball here in Northeast Ohio, regardless of the drama that we have inside our office and outside our office and people who are no longer in our office. People are ready for baseball. I go outside, I'm breathing the fresh air. The kids 2 houses down are out there shooting hoops.
The one kid rolled his ankle on my way in.
Oh.
Been there, done that one.
But
yeah, and that takes a lot out of you too. Whenever you end up having essentially all your effort behind you. I mean, think about it. We were in this time last year. We were in quarantine, and the next thing you know, you're able to actually play outside now. You're able to actually have a quote unquote normal life. And I mean, what if that was the kid's first time playing basketball in a year and he just rolled his ankle? First nice day.
That does make sense because last year during this time, they were really not outside all like that. That does make sense because I'm remember, wow, you didn't have a mustache last year. Oh, yeah, because you were, sitting in the house going through quarantine last year. But it's great to see kids out here in environments, rather they're playing organized sports or not, rather they're in the front shooting hoops, throwing a ball, playing tag, whatever. Just it's nice to be active in the area, especially that we live in right now in Northeast Ohio. The sun is shining. People are getting ready for baseball. I know that we're going to have some baseball talk for you on this show, some MLB talk. Do we got a little bit of NFL?
Yeah, we'll talk NFL, unfortunately. It's been a while since then, but I mean, honestly, with everything going on, we have to kind of hit on the NFL now. And obviously, with the Browns free agent signings, you and Ryan are both Browns fans. So overall, we're definitely going to hit on that, and there's a lot more to continue on with. But anyways, on that note, Ryan, are you there? So actually, let me double check that your audio is on. But yeah, we're still struggling with the video. Anyways, though, for the tip-off, we'll hit on that so we don't completely slow our roll. No pun intended, even though Ryan's with us.
I thought you were going with wrestling right there, but okay. Well,
But
let's know your role. Never mind.
anyways, for the tip-off, Mike Tyson against Evander Holyfield, May 29th. It's going to happen.
Okay, well, in my opinion, I haven't seen. I don't want to sound totally Tyson biased and say Tyson's going to beat his ass, et cetera, et cetera. During the commercial break or when the show is over, I will do some research and see what Holyfield, right?
Yeah.
I will do some research and see if Holyfield can also still throw those hands, if he still's got the good cardio speed to keep up with Mike Tyson. Now, in my in my honest to God opinion, I believe it's going to be a great showdown that's going to happen between the two dudes. I don't believe there's no physical wordplay beef between the men. The men are grown men. They have grandchildren and great grandchildren. So I think this is something that two former athletes who probably did hate each other's guts back in the day, they're just like, hey, let's just go in there, give a good show, and hey, if I tag you really one good time, we're professional boxers still, regardless. Our hands are registered weapons. So don't cry like a little bitch about it, no pun intended. So I'm happy to see this. Like, there's no Twitter beef between them that I know of, and if anybody else does, please let us know in our We Like Sports chat here on Facebook Live. So if I can get your opinion, if I can get Ryan's opinion on that too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll go first because we're still trying to get Ryan's audio really quick. Just as far as I Perfect. Sounds good. Well, I mean, on that note with Tyson and Evander Holyfield, I mean, honestly, like you said, it's two older boxers that haven't been around. I mean, Mike Tyson was done for a long time, and it's what, their third fight in the last 30 years or so. So it's very exciting. I just hope that it's not like two old guys hugging. Like, I hope it's not like how like a Mayweather fight is, you know? Like, it's just always something with with boxing. Like you don't want to match up like Conor McGregor and or not Mike Tyson, but like Floyd Mayweather again. So obviously it has to be worth the money, and the money's there because Holyfield hasn't even been boxing in a while either. He kind of took a step back, so it's about equal with that perspective. But I'm excited to see it. I saw that it was just like the first time I noticed it was today, but it's worth watching to see how it's going to end up turning out. Like, what is the result going to be? How are these fighters going to be afterwards? Because this is their first time in how long?
Exactly. And like during this whole process, during the fight, now when these two were in their prime, way, way, way when I was a little kid, I wasn't staying up late watching their matches because my uncles were smoking funny cigarettes in the other room and I wasn't allowed in there. And it was past my bedtime. So now that I'm an adult, I would like to maybe see a weigh-in between these guys. Maybe a little bit of light trash talking at a weigh-in. Maybe, I don't know, a training montage between the two. You know, something to get me hyped and get me entertained for these guys. Like, I don't want to sound like that WWE fan that says, well, I never got to see The Undertaker or Stone Cold live, so I'll see them now when they're old. I want to use that aspect right now in the boxing world because that to me, like, that's great. I've seen that other stuff in the other professional worlds many a times now. Tyson versus Holyfield, who cares if they're old? I know I'm going to get an entertained show, regardless of the fact of the matter. Like Mike Tyson now, okay, Mike Tyson a man now than he was back then. During this fight, he might laugh, he might crack a smile, he might wink. Where to the man Mike Tyson 30 years ago will stare a hole right through you, and they called him Iron Mike for a damn reason.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting in my honest to God opinion.
Well, Ryan, what are your thoughts on this upcoming fight that I mean, obviously it's kind of like that key time frame too. Like this is back when it was Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. That was in August. And then you had Mayweather against Pacquiao was in May, I think. So like they're all lining up around the same time. I wonder if there's any rhyme or reason behind that too.
It's usually that's how they cycle through. Like there'll be one big, usually like spring, fall, summer. Like there'll be like one big to do before then, and there'll be another big to-do depending on the weight class and what's going on. But I mean, if it's the big ticket, obviously the warm weather is going to bring out more top ticket, you know what I mean? More things that people are going to want to go see. Mm-hmm. But unlike you two, I actually saw the entire fight of when Tyson bit off his ear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was a kid. I remember like my uncles and everybody talking about it, and I'm like, "What? There's no way someone bit off another person's ear." And then
well, he told him. He said he was going to eat his children and shit. So
yeah,
that's so weird.
Was that the press?
I'll murder him. I'm gonna eat his children.
Yeah, was that the press conference where like he said
he was savage, dude.
He said some colorful language in there. Yeah, like
he's. But also, I have a boxing digest in a frame in my room. I got hanging on my wall, and then I've got a plaque with a bell on it, and it's got the little ticket, what do I want to call it? The tag that says Holyfield Tyson. It's got the whole deal, and then I've got a Mike Tyson signed Boxer's Digest before the fight, to where it's Tyson looking at Holyfield for the weigh-in and shit. Okay. And so I've got a signed Mike Tyson autographed Boxer's Digest from that fight.
That's so, like, the thing is that, like, I would love to have seen, like, what was leading up, because, like,
It was wild.
Like, what in your right mind? Obviously, Mike Tyson doesn't have a right mind to begin with, but, like...
he started smoking weed now.
Yeah, I was going to say, now he does, yeah.
Doesn't he have his own brand, too?
Oh, yeah. And he had his own TV show on Cartoon Network. Yes, the Mike Tyson Mysteries, yeah.
Yep.
It was like Scooby-Doo, but Mike
That's
Tyson.
What I thought. Like, I thought I saw that before, but...
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It was like Fat Albert and fucking Scooby-Doo put together.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it'll probably be like the same thing like when Tyson fought Roy Jones. You know, it was for charity, things like that. And hey, I'll tell you this, man. I was watching the lead up to that fight, and I was curious when I was watching the whole thing. I'm just like, like Roy didn't want to get knocked out. Like he was like, no, don't hit me in the face, don't do it like that. He was getting worried that he was going to do it.
Of course,
Tyson was talking about it before that. Roy's like, you know, this is going to be a good opportunity, saying all the right things, and then they clip over to Mike. Mike's sitting there, and he's like, I got to remember, they got to hold back because they put me in that thing. It's like a cage. I'm like an animal. I'm gonna knock him out. I want to knock him out. That's what I'm there. It's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do, and I got to pull that back so I don't hurt him.
Especially like watching like footage from Mike Tyson back in the day and some documentary I watched, like just he was trained by a guy named Customato, and just seeing him Mike Tyson, don't hit me in the face. If that dude gave you a body shot, like I'm surprised you didn't lose your lunch in Caesar's Palace.
I guarantee, I would say this from watching him train and everything like that. Do I think he could go toe to toe for an extended period of time? He could get lucky early, but like top tier, like the top 1, 2, 3 heavyweights, I don't think he would put up much because he's just too old. But that like mid tier, low tier, if he fought some of those kids, I think he'd win.
Oh, and like the thing is too is that like Tyson's fighting now, and he's what 50, if not mid 50s,
53, I believe.
Like literally, all you could do is just like. He could literally go up the rankings against these young kids just because he never really lost a step, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he lost a step. He lost a step as far as just because, it's just age. But when you watch him hitting a 150-pound bag and he's putting that thing, pushing people back while he's hitting it at 53, that's terrible. Like, he's terrifying. It's like you look at those split screens on social media when they're like, me at 53, and then it shows Tyson at 53.
Mm-hmm.
And then you saw him hitting the bag and moving around and shit. And you're like, he could still do it. He could definitely pull out and be like, all right, I'll fight, like I said, a mid-tier heavyweight, something like that, and get in the ring with him. I would pretty much guarantee that he'd go toe-to-toe with him. He probably could win.
I mean, I'm trying to think at the same time, like, obviously it's for, like, showmanship at the end of the day. But what's going through your head? And honestly, Keith has called me like 5 times now, so let me put him on speaker. All right, Keith, you're live on the We Like Sports podcast.
Hey,
what's up, buddy?
Super awesome. I'm glad I found the number to call in. Hey, I can't see your special guest at all.
Yeah, we know. We're working on that, but thank you.
Oh, that's okay. You guys suck without us. That's
Hey, that's called I'm trying my best, and I love you.
This is a preschool. Your best doesn't count.
Yeah, it does. Why do you get participation trophies then?
We don't get participation trophies. We're not liberals.
Oh my god.
Woo!
Why do we have to take it to politics all the time?
Because I'm back. Hey, what are you doing in Columbus?
Me?
Yeah, you said you're going to Columbus later today.
No, tomorrow.
Oh, when? Where? What's going on? Because I may or may not be filming a TV show in that location, possibly.
Softball man right here.
Yeah, as Riggs is pointing, I'm going to be at Berliner Park in Columbus. So if you guys get bored while you're shooting your TV show or else you want some softball footage, I could hit a home run for you.
Or anybody on the We Like Sports podcast, if you're interested in making a trip down to Columbus to see your boy PV hit some HRs, we'll give him the...
Hey, speaking of which, is Steven R. Smith going to be on today?
We'll figure that out. Like, I know he's been stressed out. He was in court and
Yeah, what's going on?
What happened?
he's tired.
Gotta get that app.
Right. I think he might tweet or be on around like the 9:00 hour to talk about it.
Why was he so concerned about what Oral Roberts did to Robert? Like, he tweeted out, like, what they did what to Robert?
Yeah, man.
I saw that.
Yeah, his mind is in the court. His lawyer is also named Robertson. So that's what he told me. And yeah, like
Pat McAfee was calling Oral Roberts Oral Bob.
yeah, but Stephen,
Call me on your break so we can make sure you guys don't suck at this.
Okay, will do. Love you.
Sounds good. Love you too.
See, that works all the time.
Bye.
Bye.
Anyways, as we're back after the interruption, what about March Madness? Like, honestly, like, there's Get in the Ring, but I'm champion, and, like, because I just outsmarted Stephen R. Smith last
in
week.
a damn good way. Seriously, like that was really good.
But, like,
Most exquisite peanut butter and jelly.
yeah, honestly, it went together like peanut butter and jam, you know? That was my jam.
Yeah.
That was my ish. That's what the kids are saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah, the
24,
kids.
but I'm asking what the kids are saying.
And it's changing every day. It's evolving.
But anyways, do I want to defend my belt to Riggs, Ryan, or do I just hold off this week?
Man, I would take the championship advantage. I would probably, hold off.
Yeah, let's hold off. We'll get a good one for next week and get one going to we get a real
You can take it to Columbus.
a real
with you.
slobber knocker, as they would say.
Okay, we could definitely do that. But then, I mean, if we're not going in the ring, we should definitely talk about March Madness. And, I mean, we talked about
The insanity
briefly.
of my bracket that's just decimated.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were texting about that too, and it's just this year has been super weird when it comes to March Madness. And I mean, you have Oral Roberts that's in the Sweet 16 now, and I think they're honestly going to be a Final Four team. And like, I'm not big into college basketball, but I've been paying attention a lot. Like the last couple days, nothing was on. I'm like, all right, I'm focusing and I'm just dialing in and I'm watching basketball because this is some good ass basketball.
Yeah, I
Like
love March.
I said, I was telling you that it's one of those weird years that at least I think that, and usually it's the advantage of like one team, that one Cinderella that's been together for a long time. They're all seniors, they're all upperclassmen. They've been playing basketball together for multiple years, and they can catch people like sneaky times. They get in there and get a young team that might have all the talent in the world, but they're sound defensively, they're sound offensively, and they can squeak by not blowing them out, but squeaking by and winning. And Oral Roberts, there's more this year because I think that off year gave a lot of those mid majors and those small schools an advantage because of that continuity that they have to be able to get into the Sweet 16 like in multiples that weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you look at it, like, this year's bracket was extremely weird, and, like, I, again, didn't pay too much attention to college football, and I'm pissed off that I bit into the hype of Ohio State, because a lot of people and a lot of articles were saying, oh, well, Final Four team, well, guess what? They're the first one out in the round of 64.
I wouldn't even say just Ohio State. I'd say the Big Ten across the board, because as far as the regular season went, the Big Ten just beat the shit out of each other. That's all they did. They just beat each other to death. And then that was one thing I was worried about when they hit the tournament is that, they've been beating each other so bad. Like the competition level in the Big Ten between all the teams, is good games, great games. Some of the best games of the season were inside the Big Ten. So now you've got a conference that just literally beat each other up the entire time. And then you come into somebody that has not the conference that, that they went through, had an easy ride, gets in there, and they're just beat. And then bad mistakes, too. Ohio State just, in the last 5-6 games that they had, they made too many mistakes in the last 5 minutes of that game. Every game that they lost. They were ahead. They'd be winning. And then the last 5 minutes, a key turnover or something like that and fumble. And then, boom, it's a close game. They either squeak it by and win or they lost.
Yeah, man, like that game, it was I was very entertained during that Ohio State game. Like it felt very important because on the way home from work, everybody was talking about it. You're gonna watch the Bucks play. You're gonna watch the Bucks play. And sitting here with Brian, my roommate / best friend, watching that game, it was looking at the mistakes that they made. We didn't want to put them under a microscope and seem like scientists. It's like, well, at least this is a lesson learned. And next year, like, I would like to see a deeper, better run with play damn near perfect college basketball next year, basically. And
I guess the only problem with that is the fact that that's the problem with college basketball, at least over football. They have to be there 2 years. Like, they could all jump ship, all of them. If they just played 1 year, they can get out. Like E.J. Liddell, he could go. All these guys that showed out at least enough to where they could go pro if they wanted to. Now, if we get them all back, that would be great. But if we lose someone to the NBA, it's, kind of rough.
What are your thoughts on the fact that, like, when it comes to, like, March Madness and whatnot, like, you always have, like, your draft projections and whatnot, but do you really pay attention to, like, mock drafts and whatnot, or do you, like, until it hits March, is that when you start focusing? Because even the players themselves could end up going up the rankings and prove themselves to be, like, a top 5 pick instead of 25 beforehand, because they show out when it comes to March Madness, like the Oral Roberts point guard, Amos or whatever.
Right. But I mean, I guess when you come down to that, like again, we're talking about difference between drafts. I mean, even just the baseball draft. So you take the baseball draft and it's so long and, you don't really see a lot of these kids because a lot of them are in high school. A lot of them are overseas. So you don't really see them. Also with basketball, there's more competitive basketball happening across the country just with March Madness and teams that you wouldn't normally see on TV, but then they get up on there. But like there's a smaller group like with ESPN and the money that comes through football because, again, football dominates everything. You see more players playing college football and can make better evaluations on it because you see them week to week for primetime games, things like that. You can see all these different people across the country. West Coast is a little bit more difficult, but the better teams you're going to get a hold of to be able to see what they're doing. Basketball, it's everywhere. So it's hard to come up with and also hitting, and I would say hitting in the NFL because the group is bigger is a lot easier to get good players. You only have 2 rounds in an NBA draft, and there's only a minuscule amount of talent inside that pool. So you might get one guy in that entire draft that succeeds and all the rest of them wash out or they just turn into like good bench players or whatever like that. I mean, I like the fact that they're starting with the G League and they've got that new league where they have, I think it was like 20 or 30 guys that if they didn't want to go to college, they can pull into that thing and then make their way up doing that. And also they go to Europe. That's another thing that they do a lot now is they head over to Europe and you don't get to see them playing in Europe, but they're there. And then they're like, oh yeah, they're going to be a top draft pick. And they've been playing in Lithuania. And you're like, well, I didn't see any of that. So let's see what happens.
Exactly. And then now let's continue on with this whole you're basically breaking down the career of the different paths that someone that can play professional basketball can take. Okay, they get drafted at a young age, they play overseas. Then you become guys like, I don't know, let's say Nate Robinson. Now you're winning championships over in China with Tracy McGrady and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, because they made all their money. They were fortunate enough to get into the league at a young age and be in the NBA and have great careers to where they made a lot of money. And then now they've got a name, and then you go overseas, and they'll throw all the money at them just to get them there to put butts in the seats.
Yeah, exactly, and that bothers me too because people like T-Mac, Tracy McGrady, and others that went to China after they couldn't play in the NBA's career.
Pause really quick though, as you bring up Tracy McGrady. look back in 2012 when it was the lockout, when NBA wasn't, no, or 2011, whenever it was, but when you had the NBA lockout and you had guys like Tracy McGrady go over to China or go overseas, and you had, there was another big name too, but like, it started to become a movement, and I think Tracy McGrady was one of the few that ended up sticking around to play in China, and it's just because he wanted to play. He was stuck because the NBA, it was all money situation, and then next thing you know, here we are now, and you have all these collegiate athletes that are going overseas, like your Luka Doncic's, your LaMelo
Well, that's the
Ball
thing
was
about
playing
Luka,
over
because
here.
Luka, by the time he was 14, he's playing with grown men, professionals in Europe.
Right,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
So like he's already pro ready. Like he's ready. He's been playing grown men for his entire adolescence,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a killer.
But it just bothers me the fact that like some people like I wanted to see them win a championship on American soil, and then I'm looking at highlights and attributes on them online, and then it's like, oh, you won in Europe and China 3 to 4 or 5 times, but damn, that'd have been nice to see you do that over here. But that's how the story was just written for that said man or woman on their journey as a sports
That
athlete.
business, man, just turns into, like I said, once you get to the professional level, like it's not just a game anymore. It's a business, and guys are gonna look at it like, what's money? Dollars make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But on that note, it looks like we're going to take a quick break. Obviously, we dabbled a little bit in March Madness, but when we get back, there's plenty of March Madness to talk about. On top of the fact that baseball season starts back up next week, opening day. And you also have LeBron James having his first actual injury in probably since his age of like 17, 16, if not earlier
At
than
least
that.
severe enough to where he couldn't shake it off and get back out there.
Right, one of the rare occasions for once, because usually it's like 1 week or 2 weeks, but now he's out long term. But obviously, we'll dive into that. But guys, don't go anywhere. When we get back, we'll be talking that with Ryan, Payton, and myself, Riggs.
Right. We'll be right back on the We Like Sports podcast. I'm going to actually tell you and show you the correct way how to shave your balls on this show.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, I can show you. We'll be right back on the We Like Sports podcast.
Do you have a chia pet?
Don't worry about it.
If you're
bored in the house.
Why not play with your balls? Our sponsor today, Manscaped, is here to make sure your balls are smooth while you or your partner are playing with them. Manscaped promotes clean hygiene when it comes to shaving your balls thanks to their Lawnmower 3.0. So a little side note, have you ever cut your balls while shaving them? I have, and that is painful. I would not ever do that again, and I would never shave my balls if it wasn't for Manscaped, because once I started using Manscaped, I no longer had to worry about the bleeding anymore. Also, for any new subscribers, you end up getting replacement blades refilled for your Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer delivered to your door every 3 months, making sure your trimmer always stays fresh and clean. And for a limited time, subscribers get not only 1, but 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag, which is a $39 value, and the patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. This is the perfect package for your perfect package. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SPORTSWITHAZ at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped, and use the code SPORTS. Make playing with your balls the best part of your day. Thanks, Manscaped.
Manscaped. Use the promo code SPORTS with a Z, SPORTZ. Ball toner, ball deodorant, ball shaver. And you get a nice bag to shave your hairy bag. Manscaped.
And I need to turn him on. Welcome back to the We Like Sports Podcast. I'm not a technical producer at all. My name's Payton Vince, alongside Riggs and Ryan. As we come back from break, what were we talking about? Fan-controlled baseball. But you wanted to show people how to shave your balls.
Okay, everybody, look, you guys been hearing me on the show since day one. I've been promoting Manscaped using the promo code SPORTS with AZ. So right here, I'm going to have to show you guys a little something to prove that Manscaped is real and it does work. I'm not going to show it on my own testicles because I don't want to get the show in trouble or get hit with any type of fines. So I'm going to take this kiwi.
Shit, fine. You better work them lawsuits, though.
Exactly. Should I get up closer to the camera, or is right here?
I mean, they can see. They see it's a kiwi.
Okay, this is a kiwi I have in my hand. Now, guys, I understand that you're afraid about shaving your balls and you don't want to get nicked and cut up and you're bleeding everywhere. I understand that. But I'm here and I'm your boy and I got your back. This is what you need to do. It's called the light bulb trick and the light bulb effect. You're going to grab your boys like it's because we've talked about this tons of times off camera. This is real. You're going to grab your boys like this. And this is only for Manscaped.
It sounds like some waiting shit.
Yeah, in a way. But laugh all you want, guys. I'm being real and I'm going to show you how to shave your balls for Manscaped. You're going to grab your boys, your members.
So if you don't have a dad out there, this is the man for you.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, I've learned many nights by myself. So you're going to have to do it just like this. Hold them lightly. Hold your boys lightly. And you're going to take your Manscaped. You're going to get your lawnmower 3.0. It has a light on it, too, as well. You can hear it vibrating because I'm using it at the moment. You're going to take your boys. Look down. And you got the light that's showing you direction which you need to go.
I don't see if he actually does this.
I don't have a guard on this one because, I was a hairy guy at one point. So you're going to lightly...
Likes living in the danger zone.
Lightly go over your balls.
It's really working.
You're going to lightly go over your balls. Now, this is a kiwi that I'm using. And now the kiwi
How many kiwis have been disposed of?
Say that again?
How many kiwis have been disposed of before this?
Oh, just one.
Oh, okay.
This was the practice one.
Yeah.
I got you.
So when you're shaving your balls and you Manscaped, just seriously, guys, you have to pay attention. Your balls and your girl will thank you. Seriously, I don't want to sound weird. If you want help on shaving your balls, just use the promo code SPORTS with a Z and slide in your boys' DMs. I know that's weird, but I'm trying to help you out and I'm trying to help out Manscaped. Manscaped, promo code SPORTS with a Z, SPORTZ. Ball shaver, ball toner, ball deodorant, lawnmower 3.0, and it comes with a weird black and white newspaper that you can stand over, shave your balls, and read at the same time. But when you get the product, you'll find out yourself. Manscaped.
I feel like you just bought those kiwis just for this.
No.
I also feel like he should have been wearing a white lab coat while this was happening.
Just takes out his even better, have a white trench coat too, and just take out his manscaping kit and just be like, hey,
this is it. Hey, next time.
Have sunglasses on.
Dude, it's perfect. You might have just gotten your own sponsorship with Manscaped.
Yeah, seriously, you might be doing their little pamphlets they send out with their stuff.
You might be in one of them, honestly.
I was going to use a lemon, but I'm like, no, that reminds me of Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. So
why are you looking at Mr. Burns lemons? Anyways,
fan control baseball.
Honestly, that was the same exact thing I was thinking. All right, so a couple of weeks ago, we were discussing the idea of fan-controlled baseball because we have fan-controlled football now, which I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw that a fan, streaked across the field in fan-control football.
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Was that voted for?
To be truly honest, that was probably not voted for. That was probably, was that an independent vote?
Hey, no, I bet you any money that they did that shit on purpose because they're losing views and they're like, all right, we got to get back going. Let that guy run.
Vote for the naked guy.
Yeah, I pulled that. I let that play. They use that as a publicity stunt so everybody was running around YouTube and Twitter.
If I'm doing anything with fan control sports, the one thing I really, really want control over is anyone that really knows me, I am a throwback or vintage or any type of uniform, jersey, T-shirt for the team to wear. I don't care. If I can vote on that, hey boys, we're wearing this. Even though none of you were born in the 1960s, I want to see these out there on the floor, on the court, or on the field tonight. Like I don't know. That's just me personally. Like I would be in that miscellaneous spot voting for that, where they would have to make me president of it because I'll be the only one that gives a damn.
You mean like third party?
President of Swagger.
Swagger the dog from the Browns?
Keep my baby out your mouth.
But, I mean, thinking it through, the last time we were talking fan-controlled baseball and that possibility, I think I ended up suggesting that like you should be allowed to be like able to use steroids. I think that's genius.
And fan control baseball?
Yeah.
I'll remember this conversation. I mean, why not?
Yeah, bug it.
Juice if
Let
you
'em
want
juice.
to.
Yeah.
Isn't that a song?
By the end of the season, we'll see their head grow. They'll get taller. Like you'll see a whole maturation that goes about the way.
Or it was like
I used to stare at Mark McGuire's forearms. How is that? Like they're so big.
Well, yeah, you grind that damn bat. You can see the sawdust coming off of it when he's getting a grip.
Like, what else could you do though? Like, you obviously have steroids that are allowed. I feel like there has to be. All right, here I'm stealing something that like one of the softball tournaments I played in. So like the crazy shorts tournament I played in January. It was like regular softball, but in the third inning or fourth inning, that inning you had to run backwards on the bases.
Wait.
So third was first, second was second, but first was third.
I know where you're going with this. Okay.
So you had to go backwards. So I feel like in fan controlled like baseball, it has to be something for like one inning similar to that. Like maybe if you end up having like the same idea, or maybe like you have like fences that are able to move in, so like you could actually push the fences up like 30 feet. And
I
it's
still
like a
think we should
bonus
have
inning.
the breakthrough fences. Like you should be able to just run through that bitch.
Well, Canseco's already in then.
Yeah, straight up.
So okay, now when you played in that running backwards league, like how was your first instincts going right?
If you asked anybody that played in this tournament, it was literally because like mind you, this happened in January, so it's already cold as shit. So your first instinct is, especially if you're a righty, you hit the ball and you go to first. Everybody on your team, like, it was the weirdest but most fun thing because when you ended up hitting the ball, you're like, all right, I'm going to be up, and I'm thinking third base is first. And then instinct kicks in and you're running to first, and your whole entire team is yelling at you to go the other way, which is technically the wrong way. Like,
So basically, it's like a little kid's t-ball game when they're running the wrong way.
Right, but it's all adults with beers and whatnot.
Exactly.
Hey, other way.
Hey, jackass.
Right.
You will not run the straight way, jackass.
That like another thing about like fan control baseball, like I would like to have some fun with it during the 7 inning stretch when they're singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
Take me back to the bar.
When they scream, "Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks," you should be able to throw peanuts and Cracker Jacks on the field just for that one part. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. Then you sit your ass down, and then if you throw some more out there, then you're never coming back.
Damn.
Like I don't know, like I would look at the uniform aspect, the fun point. Like I wouldn't make the game so serious. It's going to be a serious game, but I'm going to have a little bit of like, hey, I'm the cool parent. You can get away with that.
No, it's definitely not a serious game. There's nothing about this that's serious.
Literally
Nothing.
Literally, if we're taking the same aspect of what fan-controlled football is doing, the last game, like with like the limited fans they had there, they literally dropped money from the ceiling instead of confetti. And I think it's because the fans voted on it, and it also saved them money from the money they were putting into the confetti.
Real money, right?
Yeah.
That's insane.
What kind of bills? Like just singles?
They basically turned that little stadium area into fucking Magic City.
Right. Exactly. They voted for it, though. So, I mean...
Magic City baseball. Wow.
That's like... But, like, that's the fan-controlled aspect for football. So, like, what else could you do in baseball? Like, you have people, like... It's such a conversation because there's nothing going on right now, for one, besides March Madness. But outside of that, you also have, like, we're all baseball fans here. It's an idea that, like, what if this did happen? Because people always bitch and complain about, oh, well, there's too much runs, or there's not enough action, or it's always one side or the other. So, steroids, solution, more
the
runs.
People that Keith hates the most.
Like, I feel like there has to be another way. Like, what if what if you're able fan-controlled baseball? What like in a certain inning, you have an option that you either have your like field player pitch or you have the pitcher hit. So you don't really have like a pitcher hitting or a DH, but you have that option that Riggs, who's playing second, could come in and throw 60 miles per hour and give that.
Yeah, they just have to like sit there and like again, you have to go with the whole thing and have multiple options for things on the field, shifts, position changes, like you said, pitcher and baseball, like bring people in, have a ringer, like you can throw all kinds of fun shit inside of there that you could change it up every game, something different with a wild card or something like that.
Okay.
Like, I feel like it could be such a cool concept, though, if it's done right. Like, I feel like this is something I want to run away with and, like, take it and make it my baby.
Start writing shit down, man. They just take this shit and start going. That's how everyday ideas start.
Anybody know Dwayne Johnson's Twitter handle? Since he's an entrepreneur now.
We can look that up.
Speaking of which, Zoa, not a sponsor, but shout out to The Rock.
In fan-controlled baseball, I would also vote. I would also vote for the most like random celebrity to come out to throw a first pitch.
Drew Carey.
Like something more random than Drew Carey, like coming out to throw the first pitch. Pauly Shore.
Oh yeah.
Starts fist pumping the ball.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like someone you haven't seen on TV since 94, 95. I don't know. Like just I'm looking like I love how entertaining this sounds with fan-controlled baseball. Like,
what if you get like wrestlers that like old-time wrestlers that like always wanted to like? There's another idea: softball, baseball mixed combined. You get one inning of like that like backwards running. You get one inning of the pitcher either hitting or the fielder pitching. You could also have. Trying to think what else like. What if you just have one inning of like underhand pitching, so you just have like 3 options and it just turns into softball? Like that'd be genius.
You could have you could put like bonus balls out there too, like once or twice a game or something like that. There's a gold ball or some shit like they do like the home run derby, like a money ball. And if they hit a home run off that money ball, some fan gets a jersey or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Just little pop-up games and stuff like that they can start picking people out to get stuff.
Like a game within a game.
Yeah.
Like that would just...
Because I mean, if it's fan controlled, and again, if you're trying to like keep people involved, you got to make them feel like they're getting something out of it.
Like you should do like instead of like that, like row E, section 7, seat 12 through 16, instead of like that kind of money giveaway. I feel like in this fan controlled like baseball idea, you should have like a home run, but you should also have like targets in the outfield. And have like, section 107 to 130 is in a target behind the left field wall, and if it lands there, you get whatever money.
Right. Yeah. Instead of hot chicks talking about, this certain bank, you won this gift card. That's not a shot. That's not a diss, but
that's not a donuts, dog. Everybody runs in Dunkin'.
Oh man. But like. Do you put wrestlers in this like fan controlled like baseball? I feel like you have to put like WWE guys. Like I'm thinking like
No. You got to find dudes that were like the ones that washed up, like the ones that didn't make it. You get Charlie all those guys. Yeah, shit like that. You bring them in. All the like people that almost made it to like fucking wrestling and shit, and then you bring them in, and they're the ones that are playing the game.
You know who I would have for my first
Also, I would have put. Mixed gender, so you have both like everybody. It's not just a men's league; it's everybody league. It's just,
Well, yeah. Okay, yeah. It's fan control.
Exactly. Yeah. I would have Emilio Estevez play Coach Bombay and do my first pitch.
I was like, Emilio!
Right. You drunk lawyer?
That's not the one from Chips, right?
Emilio Mighty Ducks.
Oh, I was thinking the one with Chips in the sunglasses.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
See, I kind of know that, even though I'm 12.
Keith Miger wants to know, the boss wants to know, why is this a topic?
Why is it not a topic? That's an even better question. We talked about this in 3 weeks, and this is what happens when Stephen R. is running late, Keith. Anyways.
I'm going to laugh at that comment on Facebook.
Is there anything else to hit on for fan-controlled baseball? Because I was actually getting ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, I have nothing to hit on.
Wrap it up. Yeah, I think we got a little bit more than we did last week.
Right, inch by inch. We've been thinking. But anyways, what are your guys' thoughts on the fact that Francisco Lindor... Oh, Keith's calling in again. Do we answer it or not? I feel like we answer it.
It's your show, dude.
Welcome to the We Like Sports Podcast with Keith, Ryan, Payton, Riggs.
That stupid senator heard baseball retarded. Hard arm.
And I laugh at that.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Why are we talking? And what the hell is this gender neutral shit?
Gender neutral. You know, men and women are playing at the same. You know what I'm talking. You know what he's talking about. Can you
imagine somebody at gender neutral? Can you imagine a chick who hasn't swung a bat in 15 years, who played softball for UCLA, going up against somebody who hasn't thrown a baseball in 16 years?
That's exactly it.
Someone's dying.
Oh yeah. We have breakaway walls. We have everything here, man. This is all.
Would you rather watch a show where no one's
Washed
dying
up
or
wrestlers?
someone's dying?
I mean, I don't mind death. That's not what I'm talking about. But I mean, like, the rest of America has their panties up in a bunch. You can't even go outside without a fucking mask on. Yeah, we're gonna throw balls at people who don't know how to swing.
Well, we got probably about a year before the concept of fan-controlled baseball can go anywhere, so we'll work that out when it comes.
Yeah.
We thought about that. You know what? We thought about that. We got about a year before fan-controlled baseball kicks off. Yeah, well, fan-controlled football was shoved down our throats out of nowhere.
Well, yeah, it's perfect, though. It's the greatest league ever. Keith, we're
gonna fill that hole.
We're going to Francisco Lindor.
We're going to fill that hole in that space once the
Do you want
football,
to?
no, once fan-controlled football goes out the way. There's got to be a space that occupies that because it ain't going to make it past the year.
Well, yeah, because Johnny Manziel's in it.
Oh, my. What? Oh, yeah, Matt Singer, you guys, Saving Grace is going to be on.
Oh, you're going to be singing Saving Grace on The Masked Singer?
I'm not there. Technically, you guys don't know if I'm on the Masked Singer or not. This might be real.
I mean, maybe that's where Stephen R. is tonight. He might be on The Masked Singer singing Informer by Snow.
I found Stephen R. He's in Columbus. We're kicking it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all those times I thought you were Stephen R. Smith, I apologize. Yeah, I'm sorry.
How's that like down there in Columbus? I want to hear him.
He's sleeping.
He's sleeping? It's only 8:20.
Oh, he's had big long court cases. He had to, he's been
long day at court.
Yeah, bro. Court.
He was getting oral from Roberts, and there was things he just got exhausted.
Did he say getting
oral, Bob?
Talk about Oral Roberts. My bad, not getting oral from Roberts.
Oral Bobby.
Oh,
did you see the Manscaped? What I did?
I did. I was impressed. That was good.
Thank you.
We just needed a few more aspects. Like I said, you needed like a lab coat, some things. That would have been it. That would have been it. We'd have definitely got him a deal.
It's probably going to be weird that I'm using this for my smoothie tomorrow, but...
Well, it is smoothie now.
You're just ahead of the game. It's fine.
That was a terrible joke. Anyways, on that note, with Francisco Lindor being in the media once again, obviously because he's in a New York market, Francisco Lindor ended up saying late last week, early this week, said that he is the best shortstop in the game right now.
I mean, I don't think the best shortstop in the game right now would take a nap during the Game 7 of a World Series. I don't think the best shortstop in the league would just stop hitting the weight room just because the world took a damn pause. Don't mean you have to. Like, Francisco Lindor, to me, he's looking like public enemy numero uno in Major League Baseball.
Numero uno to us because we're Cleveland fans, but name a better shortstop. Name a better, and I'm not talking about bats. I'm talking about defense. He didn't say he was the best hitter. He said he was the best shortstop. And if you look at his actual record and he's golden. He's golden. He's a Golden Glove. He doesn't commit many errors. He's very versatile. He can. He's got.
Oh, he's definitely top 5.
Right.
Yeah, he's definitely top 5.
I guess I am Cleveland biased at the moment. It sucks like that.
No, we're hurt. We did the same thing with LeBron James. But name a better shortstop.
I mean, honestly,
I guess if I'd probably say
in the league.
Not better, but I put him in the same league. Like Javier Baez, he's with his glove, he's got a good glove.
A couple of years ago, I would say Carlos Correa, but he just kind of fell off. So
well, that's because he got caught cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, Javier is good, but he doesn't have the depth Lindor has.
Right. I agree. That's why I said if I was going to put him on the same, like at least like if you're going like tier, like I'd put him up there. But I think you're right. Lindor is better than him.
Well, Javier is definitely top 5, if not top 3.
Oh yeah, for sure. Simmons plays for Atlanta.
Yeah.
He's solid. He's real good. Like again, I think
he's top 5.
Yeah, he's got a better bat.
He does have a better bat, and that's the only thing is that Lindor isn't versatile enough, especially with the last couple seasons with the Indians, to be able to actually say he can play both sides. His defensive mind is fantastic. His depth is great, but his clutch, he's not there.
Here's the thing. Here's a
and
hot
then I'd
take.
say like Tim Anderson with the White Sox, he's an up and coming. I think he's got the potential to be top 5.
I feel like Tim Anderson's been up and coming for the last like 3 or 4 years though.
He's not going to be able to make it because he's injury prone. They're not going to give him the chance. He's going to end up.
That's his biggest issue. But then Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yep.
Tatis is definitely top 3.
Yeah. So like I said, like he's not wrong. Like I said, with Lindor, he's not wrong. Like we're pissed off and slighted by it and all that stuff. But as far as his glove and everything like that and being sought out, like he's definitely one, if not the best.
I mean, the thing is what I think a lot of people don't realize is that there's a lot of people that think that Lindor's some kind of like 300 hitter, and that
he has the potential for it.
Yeah, he does, but he hasn't hit 300 since the year after his rookie year. That was his best average, and he stopped hitting homers, or he started hitting homers.
Yeah, he will never hit 300 again. He will never be a 300 hitter. He'll be a defensive mind. He won't hit 300. He's not going to hit 300 with the Mets, I guarantee it. He's not going to do it. The pitching's too bad. He's not going to be able to. He doesn't focus on his bat, which is fine because the Mets didn't need him for his bat. The Mets needed him for his depth. He's never going to be a 300 hitter ever. He might have a season or two, and it's not. But you got to remember, he's going to spoil out here soon because he is cocky. He is getting a big head, and he's not patient at the plate.
I hate to say it, but like obviously he'd end up being quieter, or else this wouldn't be as public if it wasn't New York. Like in Cleveland, I know last week you said, or somebody said last week, that all you do is just smile, and that's all his PR was pretty much. And I feel like that's a Keith comment, honest to God, though. But like that's all he did in Cleveland, and he was just smart with his answers. But now when you're in New York, if Francisco Lindor goes and pees on something like a porta potty, like at night, that's going to be covered.
Porta potty. I mean, the only thing is he's such a hot topic right now because he's not going to stay with the Mets probably next season either.
No, if anything, we're talking about if we're talking about like again him hitting 300 that 1 year that he hit 300, it'll probably be this year because he's going to want a bigger deal somewhere else.
Yeah, that is true.
So do you see him more of a journeyman, like him not having a suitable
home?
And
I wouldn't say that. I'd say that if he has a good year, he'll get a bigger deal.
It's kind of like Juju Smith-Schuster for the Steelers and why he took the 1 year deal because he knows that offense.
The cap's going to go up.
He stayed.
Well, the cap's going to go up too.
The Mets are going to make the cap room to pay him no matter what happens. He can have an explosive year. He's not going to be with the Mets next year. Because what's going to happen is, let's say it's 280, right? That's probably where he's going to fall. Does anybody else think he's going to hit over 280?
Honestly, I think that's giving him too much credit.
Yeah, I think it's tops like he's going to hover around 290, 288. I'd say that'll be like best case.
I could definitely see him hitting that. But then you got to remember, are the Mets going? You got to look at the breakdown for what the Mets are doing. The Mets got him because what are they trying to do?
They're trying to win now.
Right, they're going to make one playoff run, and it's going to be this year. They're not going to be able to pay the players that they had. So they're going to look at Lindor as a rental, same thing we did with Yasiel Puig, all that. They're going to give him his guaranteed, then he's going to cut loose. Guarantee it. I guarantee he ends up anywhere but New York or Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you're completely right.
That sounds about right. Like, he seems like a West Coast guy anyway, like a warm weather player.
and this is the thing is you can look at what different teams wanted him. There was so many teams that showed interest in him. Cleveland obviously showed interest in him, but none of the teams that showed interest in him gave a damn about his bat.
Yeah.
I mean, he's viewed as, I don't want to say quite like a veteran, but he's definitely a locker room leader, and he has a good glove. That's why people want him right now.
Right, exactly. No, that's exactly right. So he doesn't even, his expectations of batting, he can sit at 230 and the team doesn't care. Those aren't going to be the incentives that are inside his contract. Instead of his contract is can he be a Golden Glove? And on top of that is when it does come time to clutch, like be a clutch hitter or it doesn't matter whatever game it is, playoff run, World Series, he is not going to be the one at the plate they put with 2 outs and 1 guy on third. It's not going to happen. Bottom of the ninth, 2 strikes. No, Lindor doesn't come through in that. In any scenario, Lindor fumbles that and doesn't come through.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more note before we take a quick break. Obviously, with the Francisco Lindor talk and opening day being next week, Keith, unless if you're staying on the phone for another 30 minutes for the next segment, which I doubt. But anyways, for you, and then when we get back, we'll answer this collectively. But with Oscar Mercado being sent down to the alternative training campsite, whatever the hell it's called anymore, AAA.
He got sent down to the depth. He got sent down to the depth camp.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a terrible name, by the way. It sounds very violent if you say it the wrong way.
Right.
But anyways, with Bradley Zimmer and Amid Rosario being in center field and competing for that job, do you think that's a possibility that you have the 2 trade prospects that you had, Jimenez? No, it's Jimenez, I think. Or Jimenez, and then you also have Rosario in center field, and that's your shortstop and center field combo after you just got those guys this past year in the trade.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Mercado's not going to be with the Indians next year. He had too many chances. He's also not clutch either. So when they say, the sad part is I actually like Mercado. Like, I was rooting for him to come up, but he's just not there yet. I don't think he's ever going to be. I don't think something happened. And Zimmer is the same thing with Zimmerman. What do you do with him at this point?
Honestly, this is his last chance. If it doesn't work out in a week or 2, you're in trouble. But anyways,
well, I mean, his shot was.
He's absolutely 100% gone if it doesn't work out. He's not going to be able to. No other team's going to look at him. He's going to be in Double-A for the rest of his life, and then he'll fade away, and we'll never hear from him again.
And then you'll have a podcast with him.
That's right. I do podcasts with broken people.
You're like a therapist.
Oh, I'm real broke, dog.
All right, Keith. Well, we're going to let you go, and we're going to take a quick break. If you're wanting to see Keith's TV show, whatever he's filming, make sure to stay tuned at Keith Miger 1. There's no hyphen Hillis this time. He actually changed his username.
Dick.
All right, Keith, we'll talk to you later. All right, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. Riggs, you're not going to use any more Kiwis, I believe, right?
No, but we are going to one more time. Well, probably not the last time. Manscaped, promo code SPORTS with AZ. This is the Lawnmower 3.0. It will shave your balls really good.
Or your Kiwis.
Or your Kiwis.
Anyways, when we get back, we're going to talk about the center field position battle with the Indians, and then we'll continue on from there and probably talk NBA. So don't go anywhere.
James got hurt.
Yes, sir. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back on the We Like Sports podcast after this commercial break.
LeBron James.
If you're bored in the house and I'm in the house bored, bored in the house and I'm in the house bored,
why not play with your balls? Our sponsor today, Manscaped, is here to make sure your balls are smooth while you or your partner are playing with them. Manscaped promotes clean hygiene when it comes to shaving your balls thanks to their Lawnmower 3.0. So a little side note, have you ever cut your balls while shaving them? I have, and that is painful. I would not ever do that again, and I would never shave my balls if it wasn't for Manscaped, because once I started using Manscaped, I no longer had to worry about the bleeding anymore. Also, for any new subscribers, you end up getting replacement blades refilled for your Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer delivered to your door every 3 months, making sure your trimmer always stays fresh and clean. And for a limited time, subscribers get not only 1, but 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag, which is a $39 value, and the patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. This is the perfect package for your perfect package. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SPORTSWITHAZ at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped. And use the code SPORTS. Make playing with your balls the best part of your day. Thanks, Manscaped.
Manscaped. Use the promo code SPORTS with a Z, SPORTZ. Ball toner, ball deodorant, ball shaver. And you get a nice bag to shave your hairy bag. Manscaped. We are back here on the We Like Sports podcast. My name is Riggs. This is Payton Vince. We're also joined by our friend Ryan. You can also call him MC No Walk. For some of you folks out there, we're going to continue on with a little bit of MLB news, some baseball stuff. So we're going to continue about your favorite Cleveland Indians, probably your mom's favorite Cleveland Indian, your dad's favorite Cleveland Indian, Mr. Kenny Lofton, and the Hall of Fame. So what's going on with that news, guys?
Yeah, Ryan had some information on that, and honestly, I'm very intrigued to hear more about it because Kenny Lofton, again, I know something this past year it was him with the Hall of Fame, and I was kind of surprised that he wasn't a first ballot, but also I feel like he's another guy that's just Cleveland exclusive, and that's, again, bias.
Oh, man.
So I was reading this article, and I think it was on 92.3 website. It might have been on cleveland.com. Don't remember which one it was, but they said that they were saying that calling for Kenny Lofton to be in the Hall of Fame, when he was qualified to be able to be in it, he only got like 3% of the vote, and obviously you go that low, it goes to the back burner. And you never know if he's going to get in. Sometimes it takes 10 years, 20 years. But they dropped an interesting point, and they said, like right now, like Jim Paston, he tweeted out after this article. He said, outfielders not in the Hall of Fame, sorted by most WAR. Barry Bonds with 162.8. Larry Walker, 72.7. Carlos Beltran, 69.6. Manny Ramirez at 69.4. Kenny Lofton at 68.3. And then they added a current player, Mike Trout, which arguably they're saying that he's probably one of the greatest ball players to play as far as skill level. And he's at 67.8. Like, Kenny Lofton has a better WAR than Trout.
Like, the thing is, though...
And then on the full list of the guys that are qualified with the best WAR, Kenny Lofton is 12 on that list.
I feel like the problem with that statistic, though, is that, so many people don't, and I feel like I say this over and over again, but so many people don't know what WAR is when it comes to baseball because that's definitely like a StatCast type statistic or Fangraphs type shit that you're going to end up going, literally to the point that the exit velocity was this. That's where WAR comes into play more and more often, was with the ball speed, the bat speed, the velocity, the exit velocity, this, that, the other thing, and what angle they and swing trajectory. I feel like WAR is all within that same topic of the modern baseball numbers. WAR, obviously, if you have a good WAR, you're gonna want to that's how you want to recruit people or look into those numbers, because that might not matter at all, but in reality, if their WAR is 4 or 6, for example, like you said, 6 wins above whoever they're replacing, then that's the type of player I want.
I like how you talk about this WAR aspect with baseball, because when you were just breaking that down, I'm like, okay, wow, because if I'm comparing it to a real WAR in battle, you're not just going to go out there and just shoot. No, you're going to use your head. You're going to strategize. You're going to make sure you're safe. You're going to make sure you can continue to fight another day. So I really like that aspect you were just talking about. I was trying to compare the two and figure out the terminology between the both of them, but I completely like that. Why would you just run in blind with no plan? You need to have steps and a blueprint to know what you're doing.
Right, but I mean, okay, so if you even take WAR out of it, he led the league in steals, I think, 4 times. He was a 4 or 6-time All-Star. Defensively, Gold Gloves. I think he had 4 Gold Gloves. Yeah, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He had 5. No, 4 Gold Gloves, Golden Tomahawk Award.
Okay.
So again, he led the league in steals multiple years, across the board. And plus, he could have been a home run hitter. He had hit double-digit home runs multiple times throughout his career, not just hitting for contact, even though that's what he was known for, because he was other than defense.
Right, but do you think okay, he's had double-digit home runs, but do you think his speed and everything else overshadowed that?
Well, that was the thing, because he was never supposed to be that, but he could, and that was it's like that Hall of Fame thing where they're picking little things and that, and they're like, Well, he didn't home run. Well, he did. And then if you look at, home runs, you look at WAR, you look at his stolen bases every year, his Golden Gloves, all-star selections, everything like this, like across the board. He's had a stellar Hall of Fame career. And it's say 3% that you get for that Hall of Fame. The only thing he doesn't have is a World Series.
Exactly.
And like the thing is it's so irritating when it comes to Hall of Fame voting because you even
because it's all writers. They don't. It's not players.
Right. And like some of those writers could really like they've been around long enough and I trust some of those writers, but like other than that, like if you have somebody that's around like 2 years younger than me and becomes an MLB writer, baseball association, whatever writer, and you're gonna trust him with people that like Todd Helton, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, like if you go back that far and those people in that era, why are they allowed to vote on that if they don't even know besides stuff on YouTube and stuff? Like it doesn't make sense why you have a vote. And once baseball Hall of Fame is so irritating too, because if you essentially get voted off the island. You end up having a lower and lower percentage, and then you end up being forgotten, then you're off the ballot.
So why don't you do, that's why I say, so why don't you do a collective? Like, X amount of writers get this many votes. Coaches and administration, whatever, front office, you pick from that pool and you pick the best ones. And then you rotate them. That's not like a lifetime thing. Like you rotate them, like every spot you get to vote for X amount of years and then they cycle more.
I like that.
So you have like an electoral college or college, yeah. And you just
kind of like the college football playoff. Even though it's for games, which I still think is dumb, and you select it and everything, but whatever. It's that premise of having this many to be able to vote for, or like even Heisman, like you vote for the Heisman, they're all Heisman Trophy winners, and you got some writers in there, you got some things like it's all different opinions to look at it all angles to come up with it.
Interesting, like that. Okay, now this is what I want to know about baseball. Okay, when you get into the National Football League Hall of Fame, you get that, you get the jacket. What do they give you when you enter Cooperstown?
You get a trip to Cooperstown.
Like you don't get like a hat or you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, I'm sure they get they get swag.
Because like in the NFL Hall of Fame, like, and I don't want to take away from baseball. You also get like your head plaque and everything like that. Like that's what I'm wondering about with baseball. Like that's like what do you get besides your speech and hot women crying and clapping over you?
You and hot women, I swear to God.
Oh yeah, because I manscaped.
Kiwis.
Oh, well,
that should be. We should ask if we could change your guys' code to Kiwis instead of sports.
Use code word hot women.
Hot women / Kiwi.
So you don't get any pay for being in the MLB Hall of Fame unless if it's for special appearances they make with the Hall of Fame or at the Hall of Fame. It's just mainly all like their like elections and stuff. Like how they end up getting elected. But like the way that the BBWAA, the Baseball Writers Association of America, you end up having 10 consecutive years on. Okay, so you can't have somebody like my age that hasn't been a beat writer for long. They have to have 10 years. So that's pretty much going to be your cycle through that. You have your 10 years and then you end up breaking it down. And all right, this is Francisco Lindor, and I saw him at the ass end of his career. Like that all makes sense to a point. But again, though, even like
you shrink it down, I'd say 5 years. Do it a 5-year.
Yeah, and like that makes sense because you're going to see all the new people that are going to end up becoming something, like your Vladimir Guerrero Juniors, and you're going to see people like Mike Trout or Albert Pujols that was on the end of that career path. But
right.
I think the thing is when it comes to the MLB Hall of Fame is that like it pisses me off that one person, Mariano Rivera, was the unanimous Hall of Famer and the only one. When you have guys that deserve that, but Rivera isn't an argument at all. He deserves it, but he shouldn't have been the first one.
Yeah,
no, there should have definitely been people before him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, before I want to ask you two, because I'm not that much of a baseball guy. Who did you think also deserved that treatment that Mariano Rivera got? Because that's when I really started to pay attention to baseball around that time. Because I remember the Indians were playing the Yankees and they're giving him gifts and everything like that. And then the Yankees go to play the Twins in that town. They're giving Mariano Rivera gifts and everything. And I'm like, damn, I vaguely remember this man, but this man had to have been a beast. And thanks to the power of the internet, doing my research, I'm like, okay, he's on his way out the door, obviously.
Yeah.
But he was the first player where that spotlighted that for me. So who else do you think deserved that treatment before him?
So,
or who does in general?
They just started doing that more often, like Mariano Rivera. I think was like the example of your last kind of like go around at like stopping at all the cities you play with, because like for one he's a legend as it is, so he's gonna end up making, even if he wasn't a Yankee player, he would end up having like the same treatment because he was just that damn good. But like then after that, I want to say Joe Mauer, the Twins' old catcher and first baseman. I think they ended up doing the same thing. But like before, from that aspect of a unanimous Hall of Famer, I feel like that's the thing, is that like it even counteracts your point, because like you end up having to take away the performance enhancing drugs or the steroids. You have to end up putting that aside, and I think that might be why Mariano Rivera was a unanimous Hall of Famer, is because he did it, as far as we know, the right way and the clean way.
Right, but I'd say there's still more. I mean,
but like, how many more is there that didn't juice?
I'm going through it right now. I got the list up. I'm just going through it.
Like when I'm thinking that, like Trevor Hoffman was before him, the Padres' old school closer that leads the MLB in career saves.
Nolan Ryan, 98%. Frank Steele, Robin Yount, Carlton Fisk. Carlton Fisk got 79%.
Fisk and Nolan Ryan I could easily agree on.
Eddie Murray, 30. He was 85%. Wade Boggs, 91.
Eddie Murray was old when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, he looked like he played. He was like flashback, like he played in the 70s, and he just kept that era all the way through.
Like one of my dad's friends or something.
Exactly.
What's the percentage that Babe Ruth got in the Hall of Fame?
Good question.
All right, let me go.
Now we can go with that. Yes, keep talking.
Yeah, because like
shit, Cy Young, 76%.
76?
76.
That's
crazy.
How the hell how did Mariano Rivera get that many votes? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, he had every single voter vote for him. Like, that never happens, literally. Like,
Babe Ruth got a 95.13 percentage.
But people still didn't vote for him. You know? Like, how do you have Babe Ruth at 95?
Joe DiMaggio, 88%.
Say that again?
Joe DiMaggio, 88%.
Like, this list that Riggs pulled up, you got Willie Mays at 94.68%, Ricky Henderson at 94.81%, Hannes Wagner 95.13%, which I once had his rookie card too, by the way.
Hannes Wagner, that sounds like a rough name. Like this,
it's a legend though.
Duly noted.
Roberto Clemente, 92%.
Like, what made the difference then that Mariano Rivera was allowed to have 100% of the votes, and you have guys like Babe Ruth? That's my argument from now on. Babe Ruth had 95% of the votes, and Mariano Rivera, who isn't even in the same sentence as Babe Ruth, gets a unanimous decision.
I don't know if you want to look at the whole generational gap differences, or the fact that I hate to say, well, Babe Ruth was a drunk. Which baseball player wasn't or probably is a drunk? But then I don't want to piggyback on what you were saying about, well, Mariano did it the clean way, the responsible way.
John Daly is the Babe Ruth of golf.
So Ed _ Columbus ended up joining us too, and he ended up giving some names like Griffey, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, Frank Robinson, George Brett, Cal Ripken.
Randy Johnson, 97%. Pedro Martinez, 91%. John Smoltz, 82%. Ken Griffey, 99%. He got close. Mike Piazza, 82%. Bagwell, 86%. Tim Raines, 85%. Ivan Rodriguez, Pudge, 76%.
Pudge was just somebody that kind of surprised, though, I feel like. When it came to Baseball Hall of Fame, like, I feel like he just kind of surprised and snuck his way in, because he didn't really, like, He belonged. He was a great defensive catcher. Couldn't hit for above 200, and he wasn't a home run guy, but he got on base, and he was a great defensive. He was probably the first one that, as you're growing up as a kid, probably between like our age, you're probably looking at him and then somebody like a modern player, and you're gonna end up working on framing the ball. Like those are gonna be the guys that you're looking at because he's
Here's
an old
the
school
argument.
catcher.
The argument for Kenny Lofton. So Jim Thome, we all know Jim Thome got in the Hall of Fame 2018. He got 89%. I would put Jim Thome and Kenny Lofton in the same scale of player.
Right, and I guarantee you, once Manny Ramirez is going to be right there too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's 11 in the WAR thing that I was talking about. He was 11, and then it went up from there. But a lot of them are like Barry Bonds because asterisk, he's not going to get in. The writers won't let him in.
But like the thing is though, is that like, and that's another thing when you end up having guys like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. This is again This is why fan-controlled baseball started becoming a topic because you have guys like this. And I was the one that I mentioned that you should have a steroid part of the Hall of Fame. You have all your clean guys, and then you have the separate wing that kind of like WWE has their celebrity wing.
Mm-hmm.
You have the
I guess
steroid wing.
my only thing with like the steroid thing, like again, is cheating. Yes, according to the rules, it's cheating. You're not allowed to do this. It's part of the rules, so you got to follow the rules. That's just the name of the game. These are the rules. You got to do it. They got caught. So okay, that's fine. But there's something like with like Barry Bonds again, even with him juicing, and obviously he was not going to cover up the ball. Doesn't do anything for your eyes. Doesn't do anything motor skills. All that stuff. That's just stuff that he already had, and he was probably going to be doing that through his career anyway.
Bat speed too. That's always in the discussion,
right? So you're going to have it to where, yeah, are the home runs going to be inflated? Are they big bombs where he just knocked the cover off and it went out the whole stadium? Of course, but how much? Let's just say he didn't juice. How close does he get to the records and everything like that he had if he did not do steroids?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
in your opinion, where do you think he would fall?
I feel like he wouldn't be at 763 for one, but I feel like he'd still be able because like he wasn't like it wasn't all about like the steroid like era like he was in like. He was able to hit home runs before steroids, and he was hitting 30 home runs. I feel like he would just have to play longer, which is fine because then
but
you
he
just
also
go to an American
bases.
team.
He stole bases. He was an outfielder. He had speed.
He was the first
he was
five-tool player
around.
that you could remember.
Yeah, he's everything. Like he was kind of like a Bo Jackson kind of athlete. Like he could do everything.
But to answer your question, though, where Barry Bonds would fall into place, I think he's somewhere between Hank Aaron at 755 and probably like I want to say probably like that 700 mark, like maybe 690 the earliest, but I feel like he's going to be in that gap still. It's just he's not going to be at
you're
755.
still talking top 5 baseball player to ever live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So okay, then I ask you this. Mariano Rivera got 100% of his vote across the board. If he does not juice, does Barry Bonds get perfect?
All right, repeat the question one more time.
If he did not take steroids, does he hit the 100% mark like Mariano Rivera did?
That's a tough one.
So I feel like I want to say
just going after all the things that we read and all the players, and also coming into effect of what Barry Bonds was, regardless of juicing, like before the juicing and everything like that. But still, great. He was great after that and great before that. So knowing all those numbers and everything like that, would they mark him there?
I think you have to. Like I was gonna say, maybe you end up having like I'm thinking like a scenario that you get busted for steroids afterwards, which again, different story. But like that, I could see him not making it. Or if you do, you're gonna have the hypocrisy of being criticized over the fact that he made it to the Hall of Fame, but he was on steroids near the tail end. But it was just only slight steroids, this and that. But if he's clean completely, no steroids, same 700 home run hitter, you boost the stolen base number, you end up having a higher average, the less strikeouts have that drop. I think easily he's going to be the first one over Mariano Rivera.
Yeah. Okay.
Two things. Like I think fan controlled baseball should have their own Hall of Fame so it can just be a who's who, and they can vote in whoever they want. And I know those guys in the steroid trial era, they've apologized in front of magistrates and court people numerous of
Rafael
times.
Palmeiro, exactly. He's always the one that was like, he was the first major one I remember when it came to like the court cases and stuff.
Exactly, but I believe like those guys, like, hey, if you want to be in the Hall of Fame, during your speech, I wanted you to admit, hey, I fucked up 20 years ago, and I, exceeded to some pressure that I thought was going to make me a better player, and then you basically kissed the league's ass after that and thanked them for that opportunity, and then you ended with, hey, kids, don't do drugs. I don't know, like, because there are some people, like, regardless of the fact of they were on performing enhancing drugs, during that time period, man, they've made the game so entertaining and just it probably influenced a young man to want to
Name
hit the gym in a clean manner, even
a
though they
more
know
fun
so
time.
and so was on a drug.
Yeah, name a more fun time when we were watching Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire go at it.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why people hate baseball now, is because you have these pitcher duels, and I love an offensive game. Like when you end up looking at the 2017 World Series when it was Houston against the Dodgers, when Game 6 or Game 5 was like 9-8 and it was just back and forth. I loved that. But I also love a good pitcher's duel too. I'd
Oh, yeah.
love to see Corey Kluber back when he was in an Indians uniform against Zach Greinke from the
Because you're
Royals
talking
back
about a
then.
game of just that one little mess up throws all that shit out. It's all gone.
And just like what you were saying, Ryan, like I remember, growing up in the late '90s, early 2000s, and like some of the kids on the playground was like, "Hey, we're Team McGuire. Oh no, we're Team Sammy." Like, and they didn't like each other, and they would always talk trash to one another and everything like that. So, like, to me, those were great times and a damn great rivalry, regardless on what was done behind the scenes. Like, it put butts in seats, and the MLB made a lot of damn money from that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like I'd say in the past, from that point in time and now, it was again you're talking about the pinnacle of a popularity.
Like, if there's another unanimous Hall of Famer, actually scratch that. I don't even want to go down that route. I was thinking this too. If Barry Bonds ends up becoming in the Hall of Fame, do you guys think that the argument for Pete Rose to be in the Hall of Fame then ends up beginning once again because they let Barry Bonds in and he was juicing? And then you have Pete Rose that cheated, and then you have to let him in or at least have a say in it.
After he passes away, they'll put him in. Guarantee you. I guarantee it.
Just because it's out of sight, out of mind, and they won't talk about him again.
Yeah, because he won't be able to talk about it. He won't be able to say anything. They'll just be like, in memory of, and blah, blah, blah. They'll lift the band and shit like that. Yeah, I can see it. I see it coming.
It's so irritating, but it's so factual, too, at the same time.
I hate the fact that I didn't know who Pete Rose was until I was a teenager watching WrestleMania 14 and Kane choke slammed him or gave him a Tombstone Pile Driver. And now that I know about sports, like, because they were in the Boston Garden that time, and he said, I bought tickets for Bill Buckner, but he, had to bend over to pick him up, and the crowd booed him for that. I didn't understand that. Watching some sports highlights, that's how the Red Sox lost a one World Series because of that shit. And it yeah. So I'm like, like it just like, I love how like things I didn't know back then, I can do research and look up now. But
yeah, shit like that'll get you killed in Boston. I'm saying that shit.
I bet.
So, on that note, it's about time to take another quick commercial break. When we get back, though, Stephen R's not coming on today, right? Or did he fly up from Columbus?
No, he's probably in Columbus. He's probably trying to get some money from Keith and Payton Hillis.
Yeah, this makes so much more sense now. But anyways, when we get back from this next break, we're gonna end up finally wrapping up baseball and talking about Amid Rosario and Jimenez, the shortstop center field combo. What's gonna go on there when next week it's opening day, baby. It's about time. It's opening day. Baseball's back. We got fans in the stands. We're gonna talk about that. Then we're gonna hit on a little bit more March Madness and probably very briefly talk about LeBron James's injury. NFL wise, I think we're gonna just have to put that off for the time being because it's gonna be the same shit next week. Anyways,
it's supposed to rain tomorrow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know what you should do tomorrow then if it's supposed to rain?
What's that?
If he was in town and not playing with me in Columbus, I'd reschedule it and look to Monday. But get your haircut by Cisco the Barber. 440-320-2691. 440-320-2691. At Cisco the Barber on Instagram. Again, no openings Thursday and Friday. He's going to be out of town with me. But Monday, he's back in the shop, literally at the spot.
The spot, the good spot. The man knows how to use that razor blade for the quick shave. Oh, and if you go to Cisco the Barber and you manscape and you tell your partner you like the We Like Sports podcast, I guarantee you're going to have a great time.
Again, Cisco the Barber, 440-320-2691. Guys, we'll be right back on the We Like Sports podcast. Don't go anywhere.
If you're
bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the house and I'm in the house bored.
Why not play with your balls? Our sponsor today, Manscaped, is here to make sure your balls are smooth while you or your partner are playing with them. Manscaped promotes clean hygiene when it comes to shaving your balls thanks to their Lawnmower 3.0. So a little side note, have you ever cut your balls while shaving them? I have, and that is painful. I would not ever do that again, and I would never shave my balls if it wasn't for Manscaped, because once I started using Manscaped, I no longer had to worry about the bleeding anymore. Also, for any new subscribers, you end up getting replacement blades refilled for your Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer delivered to your door every 3 months, making sure your trimmer always stays fresh and clean. And for a limited time, subscribers get not only 1, but 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag, which is a $39 value, and the patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. This is the perfect package for your perfect package. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SPORTSWITHAZ at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped. And use the code SPORTS. Make playing with your balls the best part of your day. Thanks, Manscaped.
Manscaped. Use the promo code SPORTS with a Z, SPORTZ. Ball toner, ball deodorant, ball shaver. And you get a nice bag to shave your hairy bag. Manscaped. Are back here at the We Like Sports podcast with myself, Riggs. You got Payton, Vince. You got our boy Ryan. We are live here from my dining room because we like to switch it up a little bit. Shout out KM Voice. Shout out Coach. Shout out anybody that is down with us. We thank you. We're humbled to have you guys join us here on Facebook Live, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and any other good platform.
Yeah, honestly, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, iHeartRadio as well. Listen to the replay of this show. It's going to be Payton, Riggs, Ryan. Same show. It's just an audio form. So if you're driving along, going to Columbus, playing some softball maybe, that's what I do is listen to us.
Sweet, sultry tones by Riggs.
Keep rolling, 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 rolling. Listen to us while you're rolling.
I hate you.
Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit.
As long as it's not Limp Riggs, I'd feel bad for you.
Well, it is Limp Riggs when I am manscaping. But
keep on rolling, baby.
Anyways, as we were talking about earlier with Keith, we were talking about the Indians and Amid Rosario possibly being the center fielder along with Jimenez being the shortstop. Guys, what are your thoughts? Is this going to be an issue with Rosario in center field, who's naturally an infielder that's been committing a decent amount of errors in the outfield, along with the fact that you have Bradley Zimmer, that this is a make-it-or-break-it situation for him. He's either going to be the center fielder or Rosario is going to be the center fielder. But how long does this work until? Or do you end up having somebody like Daniel Johnson get called up after 2 weeks like the Indians have been known to do in the past?
I wouldn't.
Right.
I wouldn't even take the risk on this. I wouldn't even put this out on the field during spring training. If dude has a lot of errors made on the outfield, then that's not his spot. You can't lead a horse to water. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, regardless of how old the man is. Some people are just comfortable, and some people are just they're good at only one thing, and that's okay for them. That really is. And if you have a lot of faith and confidence in Bradley Zimmer, then why not? This is his make it or break it. This is if you can't perform on this stage right here, and we're washing my hands and I'm done with you. I liked what I've seen with you before in the past out there. So why would I do that to myself? I want to go into this campaign if I'm a Cleveland Indians manager with my ducks in a row, not putting the cart before the horse, but I'm going in knowing what I'm getting myself into, and I'm not leaving no question marks on anywhere on that field. Nowhere.
I would say, like, because again, it's not his natural position, so errors are going to happen, and it's only spring training. You've got Zimmer out there. You know, if he stays consistent, and then Rosario can do it. I mean, you can switch. So you can say that he's not going to maybe be permanently out there. You throw Bradley out there, and you at the beginning of the season, you feel it out, see what happens. If it gets better, obviously, okay, he's the guy. We keep him out there. Zimmer stays for the days off, or like you said, you bring up Johnson. You bring him up, and again, you just keep cycling it through till you find the right thing. I mean, Tito's been known for that. Like he'll go mid-season and bring a bunch up, or if something happens, he'll bring people up and start rotating until he finds the thing, that sweet spot that he likes.
The thing is that, like, I really want to see Rosario in center field, but, like, he just looks so unsure of himself right now with the clips that I've seen from spring training, is that, like, he's, like, it's a typical, like, adjustment. Like, you're second-guessing yourself.
Just learning how to track. Yeah,
What's that?
You got to learn how to track the ball.
Exactly, and that's something that you have to pick up on eventually. But it's like, all right, you got your chance right now in spring training, and then worst case scenario, you send him down and he's back at his natural position and comes back up 2 years from now, but maybe proves himself in the spring. Who knows? For next year.
But again, even if he's a natural, he's a natural shortstop, you could probably put him at second base too. So
Yeah, exactly. But then you also have Cesar Hernandez, which was ideally the first idea of having Rosario at second, and then you obviously
he could just be our
him.
utility guy too. If he picks up on it enough, then he could be the utility guy. He can play shortstop, and if he can just decently play in the outfield.
And, like, look at Jose Ramirez. When Michael Brantley got hurt, that's where he got his start pretty much, was in left field for the Indians.
Right.
So
it's going to be interesting. I think the beginning of the year is going to be choppy.
Okay, I like hearing that. Right. It's going to be choppy. It seems like it's. I hate to seem like I'm going to all these analogies and metaphors, but it seems like it's going to be freshman day in high school, day one. No one's going to know their place. No one's going to know their schedule and where to go just yet until you give time to gel. And as a Cleveland Indians fan, I'm not trying to wait this much longer for these guys to gel and figure out their natural positions and stuff like that. Like choppy, yes, I want to see maybe the first 5 to 6 games choppy, if not maybe 4. But
it's probably going to be the first week or 2, for being honest.
Yeah, I'd say the first 15 games. First 15 games is going to be a lot of moving around. There's going to be a lot.
See, I didn't want to say 15.
Unless he finds something.
I was crazy.
No, unless he finds it within that time. Like I was watching, I do it every year. Like before opening day, you throw Major League on. Like you put Major League on, you watch it. But this year it seems like the closest thing to Major League. It's like there's so many guys on there that nobody knows. Nobody's ever seen. They're young guys. There's a lot of young guys. So you got that across the board.
You have Harold Ramirez, who I never even heard of until like the past 2 weeks, and he was some Marlins player that the Indians got off of waivers, and he might be making the team now. And you also have Ben Gamble that used to be a Brewers player, and like your biggest concern at one point was, all right, you have Billy Hamilton. What are you going to do with him? You got rid of him because he was hitting dog shit, but here we are now, and there's so many position battles. We still don't know if Jake Bowers is at first base or Bobby Bradley. Or are they going to end up giving up completely and just having Josh Naylor at first base and then have another outfielder in left?
And that's why I say it's going to be choppy. I think the first 15 to 20 games is going to be a lot of shifting around, a lot of guys playing those positions to see if they're comfortable enough to get it there. And then if they show enough, I think Tito will still keep throwing them out there because, again, he's consistently shown it over his career that he's just going to he'll keep doing it until you completely just throw it out.
Right. And, like, the thing is, too, is that when you're looking at, like, this next week, or not next week's opening day, so, like, the next 2 weeks or so, if the Indians still have good pitching and they're, like, Zach Plesac had a really rough outing yesterday in spring training, and he ended up giving up 6 runs to the Giants in, like, 3 innings. So it's going to be choppy, but if the pitching comes through and you're able to score some offense no matter where you play at, if you're, let's just say, like 8-6 after those first 2 weeks because pitching's carrying along, that's giving you some optimism for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you just got to stay close to 500. You don't want to get too far behind.
Yeah, you don't want to exactly like staying above 500 or just being a 500 par team. That's good, but like you can't be complacent just playing 500 baseball.
Oh no, they got to figure it out by All-Star break. I mean, that's your it's got to get done now. You got the All-Star break, and you have to have everything figured out, or at least mostly figured out by the time All-Star break's over, because then that's your run. That's where you're going to. I mean, in history, it says that the Indians after the All-Star break, that's when they catch fire.
Yep.
But we're also dealing with a bunch of new guys, so I just, like I said, choppy. I think it's going to be an interesting year. This could go either way. It could go real bad, or it's going to be real good, or it's just going to be meh.
Fair enough.
I like that.
I mean, honestly, I think that's perfect to end up wrapping up for baseball. Talked about that probably for like the last hour.
It's a little baseball heavy today, but I liked it.
Well, we're getting there, man. It's the one thing that's starting to get going to be active.
I mean, you were talking about it earlier in the show. People are outside. People are having their 4-wheelers, 2-wheelers, basketball hoops, baseball, whatever it is. Everybody's enjoying the weather now. But we also have to talk about the indoor sports, too. LeBron James. Injured for the first time in who knows how long, out 6 to 10 weeks. Who knows if he's going to be ready come playoffs? How much does this impact the Lakers?
I think this impacts the Lakers so much because look at LeBron James' journey in the NBA. Every time he sits out a game or he's not involved in the game or he's not with that said team anymore, his energy, his spirit, he is the heartbeat, the soul, and the brain on that court.
It's his knowledge, it's his knowledge. The knowledge is, I mean,
exactly,
other than
like
obviously being a superior athlete and just great.
He makes the people around him that much better. Like, even if he's probably like, oh, he can have a sprained ankle, him maybe sitting on the bench and just shouting stuff to players, that might help. But if he's not physically there or not on that team physically, the team, it has no identity. They're not the same anymore. And my Ohio person in me, the Buckeye me, is saying, well, you stupid ass, if you would have never left us, you'd have never probably had these 2 injuries the way you did. Yeah. And that's just my opinion. And if you don't like that, that's fine. But the man is getting older. We are seeing that, hey, you know, he may be LeBron James, but he's not Superman at the end of the day. I wish him nothing but good health and good spirits. I hope he can come back as soon as possible. But we're really starting to see not LeBron James slowing down as an athlete or as a person, but it's just, you know, like, hey, you're a human being underneath that coat when you dribble that basketball.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you have LeBron James, the greatest player of all time, and this is, like, to go back about if he's on the sidelines. He was literally in a boot on the sideline already, like, not coaching, but, like, supporting his team and just being there. And that's always, like, you need somebody like LeBron. If he's not able to play, you need to have him there in his presence because he's going to end up tearing you a new asshole if you end up
he holds you accountable. So
right.
He held accountable with him staring. It's like, do we piss LeBron off? I better make this happen.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what great leaders do on teams. Like, not the sports jump. Tom Brady, I heard, is the same way in the locker room. Like, hey, I don't care if coach yells at me. I don't want Tom yelling at me in my face when I'm trying to change out of my cup and cleats.
Right.
So it's like, and that's not trying to say that, you know, he is a higher standard of a man than me. No, it's out of that respect factor. And it's, hey, he's been here before. He knows what he's doing. I have to listen to this person. And you can take that to your 9 to 5 regular Joe Schmo job. And it's out of respect. You got to respect the veteran. You got to respect the OG. And if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers right now, listen to your coaches. But whatever LeBron is telling you, texting you, or trying to point out something to you in practice that he can't do, especially if you're the next man up that has to fill his position on that court, pay attention. Listen with your eyes and your ears and keep your mouth shut. Because you got heavy shoes to fill. Like now,
All I'd say about everything. Oh no, go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
Now I'm interested to look up like who is the backup forward behind him on the Los Angeles Lakers. So if you guys can,
yeah, for sure.
Right, I'd say the only thing, something. Yeah, I'd say the only thing they really got to do is just kind of like we were talking about the Indians, just got to get in.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like this could be
He'll be better by
scenario.
I mean, if he actually gets in, or if they, well, actually, they're going to get in. They'll be in the playoffs unless completely it falls apart. And I wouldn't put it past LeBron being ready for the playoffs or even coming back prior to that.
Exactly.
So you just got to hold the fort down until you get to the playoffs. So who gives a shit if you get a 4, 5, 6, 7 seed, whatever it is, which I don't think even they'll drop that low. I think they'll be like 4 or 5 if he didn't come back. They probably fall down a little bit that far, but just get in the playoffs. Just get to the dance. Get to the dance, and he's in there.
I mean, even I feel like that's just the most LeBron type situation is that you end up having, okay, he's hurt. He's gonna end up pulling the superhero move that you always see all athletes do when it comes to crunch time, that they're all healthy. And chances are he's out 6 to 10 weeks. It's March 24th right now. Playoffs are going to be what? Season started late, so like May, I think that's their like timetable. So you have him start in May, and then from there you have what, 2 months, which is 8 weeks.
And basically just put him on restricted minutes. You put him in for like half the game. You start him slow, get him back to game speed before the playoffs go, and then he's full. It's just full go.
And it's the most LeBron type situation too, because he's always the one that's always ready when it comes to the like. It just makes sense that LeBron's going to be a part of the playoffs, just like LeBron's going to be a part of the finals. It's common sense now. It's just the way life is.
Guys like Markieff Morris, Alonzo McKinney, Kyle Kuzma, just to name a few on that team. Those guys, Jared Dudley, those guys, now that LeBron James is not there to carry that load, like those guys need to.
There's going to be a heavy rotation going.
Exactly. Like those guys are going to be playing a lot of minutes. Those guys are going to be tired. They're going to be, aggravated. And, it's the next man up situation on that team. So, more power to the Los Angeles Lakers organization and LeBron. I just hate to say this. Like, I feel like if you were still with us in Cleveland, you would not be as not injury prone. You wouldn't have had these little minor bumps in your armor right now.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's so irritating as a fan because you end up seeing that. It's kind of like, for example, when like the Cavs were, like, let's just say we go back to when the Cavs lost Kyrie, but you still had LeBron, but you still had to get through the Warriors. What if you end up having like similar situation happen and Steph Curry ends up being hurt, supposed to miss the rest of the season, and the next thing you know, he's ready to go a week before playoffs start, and you have to deal with Steph Curry in the finals, or he's ready by finals, Like, it's just that type, like, LeBron, and, like, it's comparable.
Honestly, like Klay Thompson, I feel so bad for that dude.
Oh,
the dude can't stay healthy. It sucks.
No.
Yeah, that...
just gets there right before it starts. Just the rug right up from under him.
Now, can you imagine if LeBron were still on the Cleveland Cavaliers and he had this injury right now? I feel like, there's our season. We're not going. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be... The city it would be a gray cloud over the city, for real.
I guess it goes back to that thing, too. Like I said, even if it was... Depends on the team. Because if LeBron was on the team, what team would we have right now? Like, would our Garland and Young Bull, all those, would they be on the team?
Right, exactly.
Would you have drafted differently because you had LeBron, or have you lost all your draft picks because LeBron's there and you use those to bring guys in? So honestly, again, you might go ahead.
Honestly, I think it's the fact that you're not going to have any youth whatsoever. It's all going to be LeBron wants this guy, LeBron wants that guy, LeBron wants this guy. I mean, otherwise, if you think that it's a possibility that you keep a young prospect or a young rookie, look at Andrew Wiggins. They would have kept him if that was the way he always played, but he plays one way and he plays to win now.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, like you say, that's just everything's different. Like it'd just be a different team. Like these guys wouldn't be there.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, switching topics, I know we hit on NBA very briefly. We hit on March Madness a little bit early on. My voice is going in and out.
I was thinking, I might just get up and get him a water. Like that's exactly what I was thinking. I feel like you're like hitting puberty right here on camera on Facebook Live
and Twitter and Twitch and YouTube. 7:30 to 9:30 on Wednesdays. Anyways, as we were talking about earlier with March Madness, I mean, honestly, with the upsets that you've had so far, what has been the most surprising upset that you've seen in college basketball during March Madness? Because right now, I'd have to say Oral Roberts has to be one of them. Abilene Christian over Texas, a 14 over a 3 was pretty impressive. And also Syracuse being an 11th seed. I would have picked Syracuse if I would have known Syracuse was in that, but they were in a play-in game.
See me when it comes to these upsets this year, like I've only been magnifying and looking at our Ohio State Buckeyes when it comes to the bracket, but now there's other teams that I am interested in. And when it comes to the next round of games, I will let you guys know who I see pursuing to the next round and being another upset. Yes, I am hometown biased, home state biased. Buckeyes do or die. Right now, they're not in the tournament. They're not going to continue and exceed. So I have to do some homework and completely evaluate myself for this next situation.
Yeah.
Ryan?
Well, I'm reading this damn bracket. It's mind-boggling what happened in this thing. But yeah, no, it's all the upsets that I thought would happen. Completely, like those ones went back, and then the ones that I didn't see coming obviously were the ones that got through. Like I thought Winthrop, like I watched Winthrop play before, and I was like, they could definitely beat Villanova. And then, like you look at Colgate, like I saw another one with Colgate. Like I was thought, hey, they could beat Arkansas.
I had them too.
And like teams like that, I was looking, I'm like, what the hell? I've never heard of this team before in my life. I've never heard of this team before in my life. Like, where is this team located? Where is that team located? And then it makes me think like, okay, well, maybe anything really can happen because, you can't always rely on the big powerhouse heavy teams to just smack everybody around, like those Cinderella wins, those Cinderella stories are absolutely amazing and fantastic to watch.
Oh yeah, that's what makes March Madness so great. And like I said at the beginning of the show, it's that year where because of the off year and all that stuff, I fully believe that a lot of these teams, because they played together, took advantage of being together that long, and it showed. Because like the Big Ten, I thought for sure they'd have multiple teams inside the Final Four, multiple teams in the 16, multiple in the 8. Like I figured that was going to happen, and there's one, Michigan.
And I mean, honestly, Michigan. Like I have like one of my friends that's a Michigan fan, and I even said too, I'm like, just because at that point, I'm like, don't be surprised if you end up having like LSU beat you, because that's just the way this bracket's going. And then afterwards, we were at softball, we were playing a pickup game, and he ended up saying that Michigan ended up winning, blah, 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 talking his trash. And my one buddy, Pat, ended up saying that Oral Roberts has as many wins as Michigan does in the last 10 years over Ohio State. Which is very valid.
Splat.
But, I mean, going back to the brackets, though, I mean, when I'm looking at mine, like I know I have Loyola Chicago and Oregon State. I picked those two for the Sweet 16 matchup. Michigan I had going to the Final Four, I believe. Gonzaga. Actually, let me look at it instead of guessing.
I remember like 2 years ago, I wanted Loyola Chicago to go all the way because like they had such a great story behind it.
They still have that white kid with the mustache too that was around back then too, and I'm like, why does this guy look familiar? And it was the dude that was back then. And like again, like you were saying earlier, Ryan, when it comes down to like these smaller schools, he's been around for 3 or 4 years. You have that chemistry and you have that leadership. Like, oh shit, this is the big dance. This is what you could expect. I've been here as a freshman. I've been in your shoes. Now try it. Now prove yourself.
That's where you can close the gap on talent. Like again, you can't. Talent's just talent. You can't beat talent.
Right.
But you can get close with experience and things like that to squeak by, and sometimes you get lucky and you blow them out. Which again, there's a lot of teams on here that are blowing people out.
Like USC over Kansas, that was a huge blowout.
Oh yeah.
But like as we're looking at the bracket, I had West Virginia over. Let's see, it wasn't even Syracuse. Oh no, it was. I had West Virginia beating Syracuse. Then I had. What else did I have? At this point, I'd have Syracuse winning over Houston, but I had West Virginia going to the Final Four. Arkansas, I really have a feeling that Oral Roberts is going to end up winning against Arkansas. I think they're going to be that Cinderella story.
They're carrying all the momentum right now.
And then Gonzaga, I have winning it all, but I'm even doubting that because even when they played Oklahoma this past weekend,
that's my thing. Like Crichton, I had them in my bracket getting there to play Gonzaga.
Yeah, same here.
I had one bracket when I had one win, one bracket the other. My official bracket, I had Gonzaga moving on, but I think Creighton might beat them. I think they got a good chance to take them down and upset them. Then you got USC, Oregon.
That's gonna be a game to watch, but I think
USC that's gonna
wins.
Be one. I think USC pulls it out, but again, Oregon could beat them.
As long as Oregon doesn't play at home, I think their court. It just
it is weird.
It's
very I think I'd probably twist my ankle just running on it just because it's so.
Yeah, like I'm trying to describe it, and it's just like I'm squinting my eyes, and I'm just seeing like.
Well, that's just how Oregon is, though. It's Oregon. Like they're literally the same way all the time. Like you literally have all these bright ass colors. You have a duck on your helmet, or
that's the home of Nike.
Like Portland, it literally is that. Like if you're gonna end up being an athlete and you want a sponsorship right away, I guarantee you could hit up Nike if you're like, hey, I'm going to Oregon.
Oh no, that's why they have all the jerseys and stuff like that and everything like that. They supply everything to them.
Yeah, like I guess like when you're going.
I think one of the presidents of something Nike's an alum at Oregon.
That makes sense.
Makes
a lot of sense.
I forgot who it was when you like, oh, I'm interested in going to Oregon. Oh, okay, we're gonna give you a tour of the school. Oh yeah, here's a locker room or here's a room with every single Nike shoe. Oh, you have access to these, by the way. And that yeah, like there's like this NBA rumor that they said that they show you the shoe room in Oregon. Yeah, that almost made me stay. Yeah, I forgot what show it was, but it's damn true. Like any Nike you want is there for you to take to play on the court though.
So you got Michigan, Florida State. I had them in. So that game I had, as much as I don't like Michigan, they do have a good squad. Juwan Howard's doing an excellent job as a head coach.
Damn.
Florida State's a tough team, though.
Florida State I think, might end up beating Michigan, honestly. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Along with that other game, that game is also one to watch because that's going to be a good game.
And I think
it should be.
The best part about this bracket is that, like, this whole entire year, it's been so weird, like you mentioned. And, like, you had Cleveland State in March Madness, which was the first time in how long? And then on top of that...
2009, I believe.
What's that?
2009, I believe.
2000, yeah, so 12 years ago now. So you have them in the bracket. You have Ohio University, and they're the first MAC team to actually do something in the tournament, because usually Buffalo was the last 3 years, and they were a first-round exit.
Yeah, and Kent State had some success back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, I think it was. Kent State had some runs in there. I think it was when Antonio Gates still played basketball at Kent State. I think they were in the dance.
Yeah, I remember when Antonio Gates played basketball. Yeah,
but
he only played basketball. He never played football. He was drafted, never playing football.
Really? That's crazy.
He was a basketball player. He was a basketball player. They just said, "Oh, we'll make him a tight end," and he's one of the greatest tight ends ever lived.
Imagine what that talent would have been like if he actually stayed as a basketball player. Though, like, where would he be at?
Oh, he'd probably been a pro. But I still think he was obviously once you take him out and they not playing a minute of football, or he probably played in high school, something like that. But still, he didn't play in college. So then you're gonna make him, and I think he played 1 year at Kent State, and that's when they got on his radar and they drafted him.
That's amazing. You have all these two-sport athletes.
But you saw it too, because when he would, so that's why he scored so many touchdowns. He just boxed people out inside the end zone, and he'd just go up and get it.
That makes so much more sense now.
Yeah, you box out. Yeah,
and he's tall too, as is. He was a basketball
player.
He
was 6'6", 6'5".
Oh yeah. 6'6". Oh, and he's a tight end. Yeah, because tight ends are like 6'6", 6'7".
Oh yeah.
But on that note, guys, let's do a quick prediction thing before we run out of time. So for the Sweet 16, we got Gonzaga against Creighton. Ryan, who you picking?
I'm going to go on the limb. I'm going to take Creighton.
I'm going to take Gonzaga.
I have Gonzaga, and I think I have to go with Gonzaga for now. All right, we got USC and Oregon.
Let's give it to the Ducks.
Yeah, I'll take USC. They've been playing really good.
I'll take USC as well. Michigan against Florida State. I said it earlier. I think Florida State beats Michigan here.
I would like to see Florida State beat Michigan as well. I don't care what sport it is. Michigan, you're going down.
I'm going to take Michigan. I've watched them play. They're a good team. It's going to be a close game, though. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it'll come down to it. Florida State can't win this game, hands down. But I think Michigan's going to win, as much as it hurts my heart.
UCLA or Alabama. Originally, I hit Alabama, but right now UCLA looks like one of the best teams in the tournament.
I know.
I'm going to have to pick UCLA over Alabama, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the championship game.
Let's go with UCLA myself.
Okay,
Alabama,
right,
last time I paid attention to them, Avery Johnson was their coach, former NBA player.
I can take it down and I play the basketball.
Right.
He's so funny. I love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's so literal. Yeah. I'd like to see UCLA. I'll roll with you. I'll roll with you on UCLA.
Sounds good. We got Baylor and Villanova. Honestly, I think this is the part where Baylor ends up exiting out and Villanova continues on.
I would go opposite, and I would like to see Baylor beat Villanova.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Baylor.
All right, we got Arkansas against Oral Roberts. I'm picking Oral Roberts. A 15 seed over a 3. I got to go Oral Roberts here.
Well, 15 is my lucky number, so yeah, let's go with Oral Roberts.
Hey, they beat Ohio State. I'm rocking with them.
All right, we got Loyola Chicago against Oregon State. I have Loyola Chicago, and I picked that matchup too, and I have Loyola Chicago going to the Final Four too, I think, after West Virginia exited out.
Let's go Loyola Chicago.
Done with it.
Rewrite that story.
And then we got Syracuse against Houston. Honestly, I want to take Houston, but I think Syracuse is on a roll right now, and I have to go Syracuse instead of Houston. Houston just doesn't seem like they could get past the Sweet 16.
So if that's what their plateau is, then I guess they're going to stay. They can't get past the Sweet 16. Let's go with Syracuse.
I'm going to go with Houston. I think they break it. They get in.
I don't remember that.
Fair enough. We'll see what happens. Again, March Madness, Saturday and Sunday. This weekend, I believe. I'm 99% sure that's what it is for the Sweet 16.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yep. So I was right. Saturday and Sunday, Sweet 16 and Elite 8. Guys, don't miss the replay on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, and iHeartRadio Thursday morning, tomorrow at 9 a.m. 7:30 to 9:30, Wednesdays, We Like Sports Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all that fun stuff. Ryan, thank you for joining us. We'll be in touch per usual. We'll expect you next week. We'll be talking sports. Don't go anywhere. And just because I want to say it beforehand, before it happens next week, I don't care what happens, but go Tribe.
Go Tribe.
Manscaped, thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next week. Stephen R. will be in the house.